have two words for you, Josh Sallee. Now, when you hear that name, you might immediately think of his smash hit Big Kid Bars, but his latest single, Saratoga, holds back no punches. He joins me in the studio today to talk about his sophomore album, Probable Flaws, and what fans can expect to hear from him in the near future. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Now, Big Kid Bars was an immediate success. Did you foresee that?
I actually wrote it when I was out in California, and I called my manager, and I was like, you need to hear this, you need to hear this. So I rapped it to him over the phone, and I think I performed it almost a year before it was ever recorded. So there was already a little like buzz or hype behind it from the live shows, and I've always done it last because it's like live. It's really high energy with the double time like raps and whatnot. So I mean, we first saw some success, and then after the video, the guy who shot it, his name is Connor Hayes. He did a really good job. I mean, I knew there was going to be some success from it.
Oh, wow. So Saratoga is obviously not on Probable Flaws. Was that kind of like a answer back to those who probably were like, you know what, that was just a one hit, he's not going to do it again?
It was definitely addressing some things, because for the first time after Probable Flaws was like the first time I had like random opinions, you know, with social media online, and you're pretty much accessible to anybody. So there were people who like, you know, hit me up on Twitter or things like that, maybe who didn't like it as much as my first project or whatever their opinion was. It was kind of addressing that, and addressing that this was what I'm gonna do, and that it's not really going anywhere. And you can kind of hear it in the record. It's more of a confident like record about telling like, you know, I have started a foundation, and I do have a buzz going, and now it's time that it's going to be something that you're going to hear about, or at least see.
And speaking of seeing, your debut album, Return to Sender, like that was a smash hit too. So when going into the studio recording Probable Flaws, you know, what part of Return to Sender did you bring into the studio as far as like your fan base, your music? Like, what were you thinking when you got into the studio for Probable Flaws? It
was a much different approach. The last Return to Sender was produced entirely by one producer. So it kind of had a sound with it, a overall sound. And I was going through, it was a different stage in my life. It was a new transition, you know, freshly graduated, like personal girl issues, whatever you want to call it. So it was a different, it was just a different spectrum of writing. And this one I wanted to give something for people that would be more of a variety, but also more playful, like feel-good music, but also, you know, just give them more growth. You know, I think that more than anything, people want to see progression from somebody they're supporting, and as long as I'm progressing in each new song as they're finding something new, I think it's good. So going into the studio was about finding something new, trying different flows, trying different things, you know, not really worried about if people will like it, but knowing that this is progression and that they'll enjoy that.
Now, you definitely have progression. Like, you have a fan base, like, and you're all over the place. How do fans actually play a role in, like, how you approach music? Do they even play a role into it, or do they just come to a concert?
I mean, I think they do play a role. I have a bunch of people nowadays who started out, they may have seen me at a show. One of my biggest fans now, a best friend, saw me in front of like 10 people at a OU campus gig, and I didn't even want to do it. I didn't want to perform. I had to perform for 45 minutes, and I was just like, 45 minutes? I'm rapping up here, you know? and there's a girl sitting in the front row, there's a huge field, there's only 10 people there. So,
oh, wow.
So it's, but she's sitting there, and she loved it, and, you know, and I don't think she's missed a show since, and, you know, it's just one of those things where they're the most important part. Is like, you're only going to be able to continue to do it as a job if you have fans and if you have people who support it. And I'm fortunate to be from Oklahoma, where it's a very supportive place. And I had a lot of friends before I did it. You know, I was just involved in a bunch of things and played sports, so I had friends all over. And it's just kind of about connecting those friends and having something that they'll enjoy. You know, I mean, if I wasn't doing it well, I don't know if it would have lasted long, you know, but it's gotten to the point now where I have fans, and I can go to Kansas, and you know, just people are showing up to see me, and that's
or Arkansas,
that in itself, yeah, that in itself is is what I wanted to get to, is where I was doing this as a, you know, a full-time gig, and to where I was traveling and really making friendships and connections all throughout, you know, so.
Wow.
It's just about continuing that.
So you've been in the game, what, 4 years? Like, I mean, when did you start this? I mean, you just came out of nowhere.
I started this, let's see here, I mean, it was 4 years ago, but it was like, I just put some videos on YouTube, just for fun. I wasn't that good then, you know. I
At
just
least
had
you can
them up
admit
there.
that.
I was getting like 30 hits, you know. I'd be like, oh man, this one has 100 hits. I'd be like, ah. So I just did it for a little bit, and then one of my friends was like, why don't you try and make a song? And I was like, okay, you know, I'll try and make a song. And so I posted a couple random songs on MySpace, and like, this is back when MySpace was booming, you know.
Oh, wow.
And somebody hit me up to Gorilla Market for a concert for Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. I just got a show out of this. I don't even have a song made. And so I made some songs, and I ended up, like, it was in Tulsa, and I just have all these friends there who were like, what, you're opening for Busy Bone? So I ended up selling 100 tickets.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so there's 100 kids there that wouldn't have been there. So a promoter kind of took notice of that and was like, you know, well, let's put you on this one. And that's when it was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is fun, and all my friends are having a good time, you know.
Oh, wow.
And so I was just kind of feeling it out. And I would say about 2 years ago is when everything was like, you know what, this is something obviously I have support at. And then I met the guys from Paradigm, who are a big music company here in the city. And once that link came, it was on from there. It's really been just kind of popped, so it's cool.
Oh, wow. So you have not only started this, like, I'm still in awe, 4 years. You've opened for what? Kendrick Lamar, Big Sean's, big names
Sean,
like
Mac
that.
Miller, a bunch of people.
I mean, literally, and you just started just on MySpace. If you weren't rapping, like, would you even use your degree, like, at all?
I've used my degree to this point, I would say. You know, opening up or like opening up your mind as far as demographics go, and knowing kind of like ways to move your record. You can't really just put out a record without having some sort of marketing plan behind it. So I mean, I used the things I learned in college, and I took a lot to heart as far as the good professors I had who knew what I was doing and said, you know, you have a chance to do this not only because of what you're doing, but because of just how you are, and that gave a lot of perspective into it. If I wasn't rapping, I don't know. I'd probably be working at a golf course. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Oh, a golf course?
Yeah, like, I mean, that's what I love to do. I like to play golf. You know, I played golf in high school and things like that.
Oh,
and so,
wow.
I mean, that's honestly what I'd be doing. Maybe I would be at a firm. I doubt it. But I definitely would like eventually to own my own sort of, you know, publishing firm that would tie into being with my degree or whatever you want to say.
Oh, wow.
Long-term goals. I would like to do what I've done for myself here for other people, you know, as far as like a label and helping guide people's careers and making the right moves to realize that you really can build a local brand that can provide just through being diligent and being focused and actually just not caring what anybody else thinks. And I think that if I had anything to say to other Oklahomans doing it, is you have to put away with the competition in the city and ways with that, because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's only a competition here, so it's only known about here. So you have to look further and look beyond, and that's why we started attacking small cities like Lawrence, Kansas, Wichita, you know, Conway, Arkansas, places where it's really similar to here. And you just have to get out of that whole competitive aspect in your city, because once one person makes it, then all the shine comes through to the city. You know, it's almost like if one makes it, you'll all make it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and I've dealt with that. You know, I've battled that. I'm not unguilty of acting that way. So.
Okay, random question. I have never seen you without a hat. Like, is that like a signature? Like, I have never, ever seen you without a hat. It doesn't come off in a show, nothing.
The hat, I have been wearing hats since I could remember. And like, I don't know. It's just, I got long hair. You wake up in the morning, you just put your hat on, and that's kind of how it goes. When I was growing up, my mom, the only time I would take my hat off was to shower. as a kid. So I would like sleep in my ball caps, and
Oh,
like they would have to
wow.
like throw certain hats away, and it'd be this huge disaster because, you know, they could smell awful. But I was like, no, that's my
Oh,
favorite hat.
wow.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe maybe that's why, but I'm just a
Man.
hat guy.
So back to your music. Where do you see your music? Do you want to take it to a major label, or do you want to stay independent? Because tossing up in the air, more people are wanting to go independent nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your preference?
Don't have a preference. I think there's a lot of things you can do with a major label, and with the new record deal that they're giving out, to where they're not signing somebody to, let's say, an Interscope. They're signing Josh Sallee Records to Interscope. So you're giving full control over your own record label. So it's like a partnership. They're just giving you the power and the tools at hand of a major label. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The 360 deal, which is what trapped artists and what kind of took away from the major label, is what makes people run. And there's people like Mac Miller and who are doing it independently. But the thing with the independent is Mac Miller just created this $1 million enterprise on his own, but he also just got sued for $10 million from a major artist, you know, from back in the day, because he used an uncleared sample. And had he been with Sony or Interscope, that's not going to happen. The samples are cleared. You don't have to worry about that. You know, your label's going to handle it. And they can get global money, per se. Interscope has distribution that really nobody can touch, and that's with any major label. So I don't have a preference. If a major label came at me with the right figure, the right idea, the right set of mind maybe, and got behind my plan, then I wouldn't have a hesitancy. But there is also no doubt nowadays you can do this thing independently through the internet, but it's just a little bit tougher.
Okay, so what can fans expect from you in the near future? I mean, it's about to be school starting, the summer's ending, you're gonna need back to school tracks. I mean, what can fans expect from you?
School is a really big, like, school starting is huge for me, huge for everybody. Summer can be a little slow. We have a bunch of really big concerts coming up. Currency is in August. Big Crit is also in August. Juicy J is coming here at the beginning of August. So some really big major names are coming through. As for me, I am working on new music.
Ooh, I bet fans are excited.
I'm gonna try and shoot a couple videos, get a couple visuals done. I think that's important. And I'm gonna continue to travel. We'll have a college tour set up in August that'll hit, you know, OU, OSU, Lawrence, Wichita, hopefully Dallas, Houston, Austin, and Tulsa. So we're trying to set up a big tour right now. And then really it's just about getting in the studio, working on new music, pumping out good ideas, and then releasing it and continuing to push. I just got back from LA, which was a really huge trip. I got to work with Cisco Adler from Swayze.
Oh, wow.
And meet some really major blogs, which is a big part of the hip hop scene and big part of spreading your name in the hip hop scene. And then Paradigm, which is like my management team, they're out in NYC right now. So they're making links out there. So it's really been like anticipation for college, because that's when there's 18-year-olds all coming from high school who either know about the music or will find out about the music through these little tours, through these little, you know, day parties, whatever shows we do. So it's always a really good time to grow, and we're going to capitalize, I think, on OU season, you know, and OSU season. I think football season is a big part of our success. So.
Absolutely. So last question, how can fans like get in touch with you? I mean, you're all over. You type in Josh Sallee in Google and all of the stuff pops up. You personally, can you tell your fans how to contact you via Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that?
I mean, it's pretty easy. It's just on Twitter. It's at Josh Sallee. It's Sallee. It's not Sally or Sallee. It's Sallee. But I still have like a personal Facebook. I don't know. I almost have. I think if you get so many friends, you have to like become like a like page, and I don't want that to happen, but I think I'm close to that. But I mean, I still have my Facebook, and I mean, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. I try to hit everybody up who hits me on Twitter. I have 2 free albums at joshsallee.com. You just hit them both, and they're right in your iTunes, and I think that that's been a big thing. I haven't jumped the gun to sell any music yet. I don't really plan to yet, and I think that ears are kind of your your reimbursement is if somebody's going to give you their time to listen to the music and then they like you, then they're going to come to a show. And right now, the only way to really support yourself, and even with these major artists, is to tour. They're paying their big budgets that are given to them beforehand to make a deal off of the sales, and then they're going out and touring and making their money. So, yeah, joshsallee.com gets your free music, and I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Sallee.
Okay, I lied. This is the last question.
This is the last question.
I promise.
Are you sure?
Yes, I promise. I promise. Who would you like if you had to work with somebody like right now, artist, producer? I mean, who would you work for? I want to get that on record, okay? So be honest. Be honest.
I've answered this question differently, I think, like every day. I really would like to work with Kendrick Lamar. I really would like to work with Drake. I really would like to work with Big Sean. I think that those are like 3 rappers. I'd really like to work with Justin Timberlake. That's kind of like the high goal, you know, up there. I'm a big JT fan. I'd like to work with Cage the Elephant, which is a band. I'd like to work with Gavin DeGraw, who's a singer, one of my favorite singers. And then probably, actually the most, I'd like to work with Lauryn Hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's like my favorite.
Hey, you all heard it here. Josh, thank you for dropping by.
No, thank you. I had a really good time.
Me too. Anytime you want to stop by, go ahead and stop on by. For news 24/7, you all can visit newsok.com.